Well, it's Friday. Hallelujah. Happy Friday, my friends. This is Neil Adler with another episode of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. It's been a rough week. It's been a rough week between the weather and the state of Syracuse men's basketball and just the weather and Syracuse men's basketball. Hasn't been the greatest. Anyway, it's Friday. Hope everyone had a good week or is having a good week. This is Syracuse Central. We talk about Syracuse basketball, football, and recruiting in both sports or anything else you want to talk about. Please hit that subscribe button if you feel so inclined. All right, so Syracuse men's basketball, Saturday night at the Dome, 6 p.m. The CW, the good old CW. Every time when they have a game on the CW, it makes me think of like teeny bop, I don't know, teeny bopper, like shows like that from back in the day. What was on the CW? Was that like Riverdale, or it wasn't 90210 because I used to watch that and that wasn't on the CW. I don't know. I used to watch the OC. I loved Saved by the. I loved all those shows. Or was it Party of Five or that other one? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's Friday. My brain is mush. So anyway, Syracuse men's basketball, they're in need of a win for many, many reasons. Yeah. I don't even know what to say anymore. I really don't. They've lost four in a row. They play Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not a very good team, frankly. But they just took, let me make sure I get this right. They just took earlier this week, it was against Virginia, which is one of the better teams in the ACC, at least so far this season. It was 197 in double overtime. So, as we've talked about, this is where we are. I've continued to say that I don't think Autry should get fired, until the season's end, assuming that's going to be the way it's going to be. People are obviously differing. Some people differ in their opinions with me, and that's cool. But I have to say, and I wrote about this on Inside the Loud House, and it was coming out this morning as well. If they get embarrassed by Notre Dame at home, and it's a junior day for the Syracuse football program, so there's going to be a ton of football recruits in the house, weather permitting. By the way, everyone keep staying safe out there. Um, I don't know if they get embarrassed by Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 11-10, Syracuse is 12-9, but Notre Dame's not a very good team. I don't know. Could Wildhack just be like enough is enough? And if there's like all these boos at the stadium, at the stadium, at the Dome. Look, Notre Dame. I mean, they've beaten Rutgers, they've beaten Missouri, TCU. I think those were all fairly close games. They lost to Kansas. I think it was by 10 in at the Players Era in Vegas, and Syracuse lost them by 11. They lost to Houston. I think it was relatively close. Cal, Clemson, Miami, Virginia Tech, North Carolina. So like UVA, they're not a great team, but I mean the way Syracuse is playing, they could certainly win. They score 74, they give up 72. They shoot 36% from the three, 70% from the free throw line. I mean, they don't look super amazing to me, but again, based on what's going on, I don't know. Do you feel confident that Syracuse is going to win this game? Draw me comments about what you think the score is going to be. And on a somber note, but also just like a heartfelt one. So Syracuse and the program and SU Athletics, they're gonna celebrate the life of Lawrence Motton. Poetry. I think at halftime. He passed away last fall. It was like late September at 53. Just all-time leading scorer, DC guy, so that hits home hard for me too for multiple reasons. But it just let's win one for poetry. He was like such a smooth, silky player. Feel like he was, and I know I talked about this on Syracuse Central when he passed away, but just underrated. Like when you compare him to maybe some other top guys in the history of the Syracuse men's basketball. So anyway, Syracuse leads the all-time series with Notre Dame 35-23, 18-11 at home. Syracuse is 80 in the net. Notre Dame's 82. I just the season's in the toilet. I get all that. The fan base is up in arms. Fans are fighting with Judah Mintz and other people on social media, which is just not a great look either. But just play hard, play well, win for poetry. Let's not have booing. Let's not have chance of fire Autry. Like I'm sick of that crap. I get it, but I'm just sick of it. And it's just I don't want it to be like the pervasive thing like the rest of the season. I just don't want it. So anyway, one thing I just wanted to touch on, I don't know, just kind of so like, and I know I did football yesterday, and I didn't touch on this because I hadn't listened into Autry's full presser, but one thing that struck me that he talked about when he was asked, in the loss to NC State when Sadiq White had 4 fouls relatively early in the second half, and Autry talked about why he kept him in, and here's the quote. Here's the quote. Where's the quote? I had it right here, and now I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's not there either. Right here, I got too many browsers open. He said he was the only one that was trying. I mean, really? What? How is that possible? And I get frustration by the coaches. I get frustration by the fans. I get frustration by the players. Everyone's frustrated. Everyone's pissed off. Fans are booing Autry, booing the team, saying, calling for Autry to be fired. Players are defending Autry as they should and calling fans disrespectful. Former players are weighing in. There's just a lot of negative stuff, tension. But like one thing that sure, and I get like frustration in the games too, but like I don't want to be a hypocrite because I'm not a Division I basketball player, and I know these guys. Number one, they put in a lot of work, make sacrifices, but they're also well compensated. They get scholarships, et cetera, et cetera. So there's like it comes with the territory and it's social media and so, but like one thing that shouldn't be an issue is like effort, right? And I know other media members have talked about this, and maybe that's part of the issue, and people fire back to me and say, well, then that doesn't that come down to coaching and motivational, and yeah, so I'm not like there's plenty of blame to go around, and I don't really need to finger point. The team stinks, and they shouldn't be this stinky, but like not trying, like now like all the games are blending together, but it was one of the games recently. Was it the Miami one? Yeah, it was the Miami one where they were down, like they ended up losing by 9, so they were down a bunch towards the end. The game was pretty much over unless there's like some ridiculous weird stuff, but they didn't even like on like one defensive possession. I think they kind of tried to foul to extend the game, and then it didn't happen, so they just kind of like whatever. I think they ultimately did, but a ton of time went off the clock, and then their last possession they didn't. They just kind of threw it in. So like, I get all that, but like, you gotta at least work your butt off. And I'm not saying guys on the Syracuse roster don't like work hard, and William Collar III is like high energy, high motor. But yeah, like I know when frustration sets in, it's I get all that. I'm sure I've been there. When I played youth sports or whatever. But like you can't have your coach say that Sadiq White was the only one who was trying. And it was early in the second half, so like NC State didn't, completely blow Syracuse out till like later on. I don't remember exactly when, but like really? And that's on the coaches too. Like what the F? Excuse my language. Like you really this is a top 6-7 program in the history of the sport in terms of all-time wins, and I know they've fallen on hard times pretty much since joining the ACC, and certainly more recently, and not just under Autry. The last 2 years under Boeheim, he was 33 and 32 combined, but like not trying, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. So do better. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's ridiculous. All right, so I just wanted to give a shout out to, and again, I think William Collar III has been a super pleasant surprise this year. Just super awesome. And so both he and he's a senior center with Syracuse men's basketball. The starting center for Syracuse women's basketball, Uche Ezohe from Nigeria, she's a freshman. she's probably going to win, or she's just a big contender for ACC Rookie of the Year this year. She's been fabulous. So both of them are on the Naismith watch list for the National Defensive Player of the Year in each sport or on each side of the sport. And I think that it's a watch list with 25 players, and then they have I think like a couple other cuts, maybe a semifinal, a final, and I believe they announced the winner during the Final Four weekend. And I'm not saying either of them going to win, but it was still kind of cool to see a Syracuse player on both sides, in both men's and women's sides that made it. And heading into their game last night, Uche, she was averaging 14.5 points, 9 boards, number 1 in the ACC in blocks per game, 2.8, number 6 nationally in that category. William Kyle transferred from UCLA. He was at South Dakota State before that. And he's, heading into the Notre Dame game, averaging 9.5 points, 7.5 boards, 2.7 blocks, shooting 67% from the field. He's crazy athletic. He's been getting some NBA draft buzz. He's number 1 in the ACC in blocks per game, number 3 nationally. And so I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool that they got, selected to this watch list, and maybe that's as far as it will go for both of them. Maybe, maybe not. But kudos to them. And so I'm going to wrap up here with some viewer comments because y'all have a lot to say these days. And it's good because it's good that you have a lot to say, but it stinks because we're talking about icky subjects. And so, but yeah, here, let me get to some of them. All right. So, and this was from 2 days ago. 1984 Guinness, right? I sat behind the Siena bench a few weeks ago and watched GMAC coach. He runs a tight ship. The players don't get away with anything. Each time out, he confidently drew up plays. He is intense and coaches with confidence. His offense moves and the D is tight. I know this could be said about other coaches, but just reporting my observations. Yeah. And and other people are saying, look, and I'm the first to say, assuming there is a head coaching change, let's start fresh, and that's fine. But I'm not, at the same time, good for GMAC. That's great. And who knows? Maybe if he, who knows what's going to happen with Syracuse. But, coaches at Siena or goes to other places and has a great record and builds up that resume as a head coach. Who knows in 10 years? He's young. Maybe come back and would coach Syracuse. I just don't want him right now or any other Boeheim tree person because I just want a fresh start for right now. And also, GMAC's in his second year coaching at Siena. I want a more proven commodity. No disrespect. That's not his fault. He only got hired 2 years ago and he's doing good. But yeah, I've ton of respect for him. Mark Gordon writes, second game in a row in which and this is obviously in the wake of the NC State game. Second game in a row in which they trailed from wire to wire. It's coaching period. Sure. Fair. Mike Gross writes, agree with you, bud. Fresh start, fresh coach. Definitely no Hop or GMAC or Mello or Devendorf. I don't care if we lose all the current players. I would hope the new coach is competent enough to have his own stable of recruits. It's just so damn frustrating and sad. Yeah, it is. Mike, my brother. Yeah, it is. It sucks. It stinks. Like I said, if you've been following me here on Inside the Loud House, I've been doing Inside the Loud House for 10 years. I've been doing this for not nearly as long, but I'm a proud alum. I've been covering the team for 10 years, but been a fan, an alum for 26 years and been a fan since the 80s. And so I remember lots of better times and some down times too. But Mike's right. If and when they bring a new head coach in and he brings his own staff, in the portal, they'll get guys, but guys from where he came from could come with him. High school commits that they have could come with them. I'm not worried about filling out a roster, and I'm not throwing shade at the current roster, Syracuse roster, but if Autry and his staff are let go, none of them are. I can't, unless they were recruited by this new head coach or there's some connections or whatever other. But I just can't see a lot of dudes staying. I just can't. That's just the way it works. JR colon 76 writes, Neil, you're smarter than that. Of course, this is all on coaching. Come on, man. The buck stops with the coach until Red doesn't hold these paid players accountable. Nothing will change. Yeah. Again, and thanks for calling me smart, or maybe you weren't calling me smart. You're calling me a little smarter. So I appreciate you, brother. yeah, like ultimately is on the coach. It's on Red, it's on Griff, it's on B, it's on Engelstad, it's on all those dudes. But like what I was saying with the whole energy and effort thing, like it ultimately the buck stops with the coaches. But like these are players that are getting paid handsomely, and if they're compensated nicely, like they have to be held accountable to some degree, right? Yes, not to the same. It's ultimately with the coaching staff. But if the players aren't giving it their all, I don't know. Like, you know me, I'm super positive most of the time, but like, there's got to be something said about that too. But yes, it definitely stops the coach 100%. David Todeschini, I hope I'm getting that right. What's going on, David? The glory days of FU sports are over. I've seen and attended basketball, football games from the 60s. And I've said for the past 10 years, it's over. Those days are never coming back. It's a different era. Syracuse is a small private school. If you don't understand that you are naive or just plain stupid and living in a fancy world, just accept it. Okay, I mean, I don't know if you're referring to me on that or whatever, but we don't need to insult one another. But I definitely agree to some extent. Well, number one, I agree that the landscape is completely different. And, it seems like the ACC has settled down in terms of like stability, like when compared to the other power conferences. And, I feel like, but, with the portal, with rev share, with NIL, with, collective bargaining potentially making him play. I mean, it's just a different era. And is Syracuse like the basketball program is not in a good spot. We'll see when there is a new staff if that like changes things in a positive way. I hope so. In terms of football, like they'd stunk in football for a long time. So by and large, last year was this past year was a disaster. Is the future still bright? I think so. I think so. But is Syracuse as an athletics entity just not what it was from decades ago? Sure, that you can say that. Sure. My man Joe Filippelli, love you, Joe. This is an assembly of talent, not a team, plain and simple. See, and Joe and I know each other from inside the lot. He's just a great dude. And we don't always agree, but great dude. And as someone, I'm a writer, longtime journalist, but I also, for a long time, I've owned a marketing company with my twin brother, also an SC grad. But, words are important to me. So when I read that comment, this is an assembly of talent, not a team, I totally agree. It's perfectly worded. It's a shame that's the way it is, but yeah. And then Samuel Payne wrote, a thought, are players frustrated with other players' NIL payments? The total breakdown in basic skills is troubling. Yes, coaching may be part of it, but is it his assistants, not just the head coach? Yeah, and I see like that on a lot of social media and chat forums, talking about the other assistants, and definitely some choice words said about certain ones. And I'm not gonna, I don't need to like, I don't know, I'm not gonna like call anyone out per se. But yeah, the buck stops with Red, but like, is the whole staff just not getting it done? Yeah, how can you say otherwise? They're 12-9. They were 14-19 last year. Don't talk to me about NIL and all this other nonsense. Donnie Freeman was the number 6 player in his class. Kyan and Sadiq, top 30 guys. Nathan George led the ACC in assists last year. William Kyle, underrated. He's pretty good. Nate King's hit 44% from 3. JJ Starling, he has his deficiencies, but still, he's been a, relatively solid player, in my opinion. Others can disagree. So, like, that collection of, like Joe said, collection of talent, not a team. And, certainly, you say, okay, only 2 guys came back. 11 of the 13 scholarship guys were new, whether transfers or incoming, freshmen. So, yeah, it would take some time to gel, but, yeah, we've had enough time. They're 12-9. There's 10 games left. And I know Donnie was out for 9 games, but they won and lost with Donnie out, and now they've won a little but lost a lot with Donnie in. And I'm not saying it's because of Donnie, but I don't want to hear that excuse. Sorry. My man Kenny D writes, if folks spend as much time figuring out how to pay for a ranked team as they have bashing Red, they'd have the money. And he talks about billionaires, and I know people bring up Adam Weitzman or other folks like that. He talks about, all the famous sportscasters and famous journalists, Newhouse and all that. I have no. Does Mike Tirico donate a lot in NIL? Bob Costas, Marv Albert, Dick Stockton, Sean McDonough, all those people. I could go on and on and on and on and on. I have no idea. It's a private school. I just don't know. I have no idea. Doug Spry writes, JJ did nothing, absolutely nothing. Missed a 3 wide open threes, missed layups, garbage. I hate using when people say the words garbage, but I get it. TTG ton, I don't know. Copeland is a leader, not afraid to make the buzzer beater. His current team would jack up some off-balance prayer, dribble the ball around until the buzzer goes off. I mean, Copeland was great. He's been great. He obviously talks a lot, and I kind of like it. MyMax777 writes, not all coaches' fault. Guards are deplorable. They shoot threes they can't make. JJ can drive, but he can't make free throws. Our front court is the strongest part of our team, and the guards don't get them involved in the offense enough. Agree. The ball gets stuck in their hands too much. I see Kadir still knows how to dish the ball. Yeah, Kadir is like high risk, high reward. He makes some bonehead plays, but he was 19, 9 assists, 4 turnovers. He's good. Yeah, like all the ISO ball by Syracuse, the lack of player movement, ball movement away from the ball, screening, like basic crap that my 9-year-old, son's 3rd grade team is, working on. Like just ISO, not like get into the lane, dish it out to open, guys on the wing, sure. But yeah, I mean, this team, it thrives when thrives, quote unquote, when it's best, when it's out in transition, scoring easy buckets, fast break points off turnovers. Throw it up to Donnie, throw it up to William Kyle, throw it up to Sadiq. Those guys are all athletes. But just like all the ISO ball and just like chucking up threes with like threes that you could get at any point in the shot clock. It's just garbage. Oh, I just use the word garbage, and I hate it when other people do. But I'm not referring to one person. I'm not calling a person garbage. Their offense is garbage. It's just annoying. It's annoying, all the ISO ball. Joe writes, I don't support this in any fashion, but maybe the temporary answer is old Jimmy B himself. That ain't happening, but I love it. That would be kind of funny. Tim Otundi writes no to GMAC. Other people agree. Michael Pickrain writes, we need GMAC. And then I couldn't quite understand what he wrote, but we need GMAC. That'll solve all the issues. And like, again, I totally look, if people want GMAC or Jason Hart or Hop or whoever, like I'm not gonna like throw shade on people for giving their opinion on who they want to see as the coach, but the head coach. But I don't think GMAC solves anything because again, it's his 2nd year at a mid-major. I want to see someone more proven. I think they also need a fresh start away from the Boeheim family tree. No disrespect to Jim Boeheim. He's there 47 years as the head coach, 1 losing season, 2nd all-time in wins. I can go over everything, but they just need a fresh start because it's been bad since they joined the ACC, except for the first year in regular seasons. And the last few years of Boeheim were bad, and Autry's struggling, and they just need a fresh start. That's my opinion. I'm going to leave it at that. This is Neil Adler with Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. We cover Syracuse basketball, football, and recruiting in both sports. Please drop me comments about what you like and you don't like. Have a great rest of your Friday, friends. Stay safe. I appreciate your support. Syracuse men's basketball. Let's get a win Saturday night. I'll have coverage on basketball, football, the portal, and everything else again starting on Monday. Take care, friends. Much love.